Hi everyone. In today's video, I will take up another important question that often creates doubt in the minds of researchers and young academics. And the question is, should researchers include websites as part of their literature review? So normally what we do in literature review is we include what we call as past research, right? We review the past research, and when we say past research, we normally include journal papers, past thesis, that could be a honors thesis, bachelor's thesis, master's, or a PhD thesis. We include conference papers, right? We include even professional journals, professional article, magazine journals or something like that, right? So all credible sources. So we want to include all credible sources, what we call as credible, something that we can trust, right, in terms of their scientific quality. So this is the focus of literature review. Now often students ask whether they can include websites in literature review. So I will not say yes or no, but what I will say, or what I will teach you guys today, is how to judge the websites. All right, what are the criteria, maybe what are the standards you can use to judge the quality of websites before you can start including them as part of their or part of your literature review. All right, so how can you judge judging standards or criteria for websites before you decide to include them? And of course have a chat with your supervisors as well and your advisors, and they will guide you further. So first I would say is the first judging criteria that you should think about is who supports, right, or who supports, or let's say who funds the website. Why is this important is because you will know whether there is a vested interest in it or not. Is it a biased research or not? All right, so do they have any kind of financial interest, right? So if you are researching on how meat affects the human health, all right, consumption of meat and its impact on human health. Now of course the meat producers will definitely not, they will never promote research where it shows that meat does affect human health, right? So think about the website that you're using as a reference. Is it a biased website? Do they have any vested interest? Is it trying to misdirect the readers by information which supports their business interest? So then of course you can't use it, you can't trust it, right? The second one is when was the site last updated? When was the site last updated? All right, so that has to be relevant research. It should be something that is still relevant today. Findings of that research still should be relevant, right? If it is not relevant, then how can you trust it? And often you will see that sometimes websites, you may use it, but maybe later down the time they disappear. All right, because of any reason. It could be because whoever was maintaining the website did not pay the servers and the website disappears. All right, so you may have provided a link and that link now cannot be traced. So someone who's reviewing your literature, someone who's reviewing your paper may not include it or may not find it to be a credible source. So be wary of that as well. All right, and the third judging criteria is that what authority do the authors or the investigators, right? So we can say authors or investigators have to do the study. All right, so are they scientists, researchers, or are they just writing blogs? How did they interpret the findings? On what basis? Was any data cited? On what basis are they? So there are many people who write blogs, and blog writers do not have to be scientists or researchers. That could be because they have talked to a few people and they do not have any hard data to back their findings. So then you have to ask yourself, can I really trust this, what this person is saying in their website, right? So number 4 I would say is that do the investigators or the authors, I would say again. So whenever I say authors, just understand it's investigators, give sufficient information to you. All right, I would say, do they give you sufficient information so that you can evaluate their qualifications or findings, right, or even their data. All right, they should provide you with all the information so that you can also make a scientific inquiry, and then you can make a scientific judgment whether you want to use this data or not, whether this data really is valid or reliable for any kind of research or citing for your research, right? Number 5, I would say, is do the investigators who are writing that part of that website have peer reviewed publications? So even if they are writing blogs, maybe those blogs are backed by their research, and that's fine. Maybe they have been publishing, peer reviewed journals in, good journals, peer reviewed publications in good journals, and now they are taking information from their own journal and they are writing blogs. That's fine, that's nothing wrong with that. But then they should ideally be citing their own papers, right? They should be citing their research, they should be citing their papers, they should be talking about the data they collected. So then you can use that as the basis to use the website as a source of that data, right? Number 6, think about are the authors of the website or the investigators of the website likely to profit? Something that I was mentioning before, from the outcomes of the study. So if there is a biased research, and they are promoting their agenda instead of being very scientific and objective about what they are presenting, then that is kind of a biased research. And the example I gave you before, that if you are trying to investigate which is better for health, vegetarian diet or meat based diet, or even plant based diet. So think about what this website or the authors of this website they believe in. If they believe in a particular diet, and then that is the one they are promoting, and that's not based on any kind of research or data or general scientific inquiry, then it means that they have some interest in it. They are trying to promote their interest or their business, or they are trying to get a profit out of it. So then you cannot trust that kind of information, right? You have to be objective about it. Then think about is the study, even if they have quoted studies, if they have quoted research, is the studies quoted an experimental study? Was it carried out like an experiment, or a high quality observational study? So there is nothing wrong with high quality observational study, but remember, observations can also sometimes like any other scientific inquiry, they can become a bit biased, or it has to be scientifically controlled in some way. That observational study also has to be explored as to how the variables were controlled, and how the scientific study was carried out. Even if it's an experimental study, they should describe the experiment, how it was carried out, and if the variables, what were the variables studied, how were the variables controlled for, and so on and so forth. So they need to explain the study to you based on which they discovered the findings, and those are the findings they're discussing in the journal, the website as well, right? Finally, I would say is, do the investigators or the authors or the researchers, whatever you want to call them, describe what they did? All right, what was the research problem they were investigating, how they did it, what was the methodological design? Because they need to provide you with all this information so that when you can use this information to quote in your research study, right? That this is why you trust their research. What were the weaknesses of the research? When you say weaknesses, I mean limitations of the research. Or you can say, what were the biases? Did they recognize their own biases, right? How did they control the variables? So all research has certain variables, independent, dependent variables. How did they identify it? How did they control it? So you should be able to get answers to each of these criteria before you decide to use one of the websites as a source of your literature review. Because normally you will see that examiners, advisors, supervisors, reviewers, they are okay with using websites, but they don't want you to excessively use websites. They like more academic resources. All right, so even if there is a topic for which you can rarely find academic sources, they will still like you to find something academic. And even if you are using websites, that's fine, but then those websites should be based on some kind of scientific inquiry. So remember that in using the internet, unless you have some specific address, so there are some government backed websites, right? There are some government backed websites, and there are some professional websites that of course they are focused on that profession or that government backed websites. Government is promoting certain programs, they have created that program. There are health websites online as well. So government has created a health based website or a scientific website that government is backing. So remember that even if you find a great site sometimes and you have saved it for future review, later on if you find that the site has disappeared, then also the examiners and the reviewers will kind of frown upon it. All right, so make sure that before you use the website, you can trust the website. And how can you find out if you can trust the website is by answering questions to these judging and standards criteria, and finding that if you can answer all of this, then you have some kind of basis to justify that you are using this website as a source of your literature review. So I hope this was a good way for you to be able to decide whether you can use websites as a source of literature review or not. If you have anything to add, please write in the comment section. And thank you for watching these videos, and thank you for supporting the channel. Bye.